Hi everyone. Today I want to talk about confidence, or specifically a lack of confidence, and the story that we tell ourselves about ourselves when we're not feeling confident. Now, feeling unconfident can be incredibly crippling, and we can end up feeling really quite stuck. Whether that's things that we need to take forward, such as an academic assignment, or perhaps something that we've been asked to do at work, or even things that we really want to do, things that fulfill our own selves, such as perhaps performing on stage, or maybe having a really great idea for renovations that you want to take forward at home, or even getting your driver's license, for example. And I was thinking about a lack of confidence recently, and I asked myself, what makes me feel confident? When I feel confident, why is that? And I realized that it's really, for me, knowing that I can do something. And when I thought a little bit more about that knowing, I realized that there were three key elements to it. And I want to explore those elements today and then offer perhaps what might feel like a bit of a radical reframing of that story that we tell ourselves that can hopefully get you off being stuck if that's how you're feeling right now about something. So I mentioned the story that we tell ourselves about ourselves. This story is that little voice in your head, or perhaps deep within your heart, that is different from the stuff that we know intellectually. Something that is just talking to us constantly. And if we're feeling unconfident about something, I find what's my voice saying to me? It might be saying, I'm not ready for this. I'm not good enough for this. Someone else could do this, or someone else could do this better than me. Worse, I should know how to do this already. And in the past, for me, if I've ever been feeling this way and talking to myself in this way, the response that I reach for is avoidance. Putting that thing off for as long as possible until, if it's something that we need to do, like at work, the pain of not doing it becomes greater than the pain of doing it. The problem is that if it's for things that we really want to do, then that avoidance can essentially lead to it being put on a shelf, forgotten, and never taken forward. And what a shame that would be. So I mentioned that confidence is about, for me, is about knowing that I can do something, and that there are three elements to that knowingness. So what are they? Well, the first one is intellectual knowledge. The second one is knowledge of self, awareness of my strengths and skills. And the third one is experiential knowledge, learning by doing. So I want to go into those three a little bit more in more detail. Now, I mentioned first of all intellectual knowledge. Now this is, classroom learning, structured learning, book knowledge. If you're like me, then it might be something that you really gravitate towards. You really have a thirst for it. You love learning about things. And if we're feeling unconfident about something, then it can feel like a really safe place to go. I'm just going to learn as much as I can about something before I get started, then I'll be ready. It can give us a real sense of control as well. And it also taps into perhaps other kind of senses that we crave, such as a structured course, as people telling us what we need to know. We don't have to figure it out ourselves, someone will tell us. And also at the end of it, there might be a test or an exam or some sort of award, which is an external validation that someone else says, I now know stuff about this. It's a great place to start. I'm not knocking learning. I love it as well. But it's also a place where we can stay for a really long time and really almost stagnate because we're not taking actual action to take us forward with those things that we want to do. We're staying in a theoretical space. Now, the second knowledge I mentioned is knowledge of self. So it's about what skills do I have? What strengths do I have? What attributes do I have that I know I can rely on in order to be able to do whatever it is that I've been asked to do or that I want to do? Now, this is where that story that we tell ourselves can become so important, because it might mean needing to develop awareness, enough self-awareness about the things that we're unconsciously really great at, the strength that we have that we don't even realize that we have. And if we perhaps have a tendency to have a lot of critical self-talk, then we might not have noticed those things. If something feels like it comes really easy, if we have a story around things having to feel hard to feel worthwhile, we might discount them. We might also discount any compliments and strengths that other people have noticed in us if they don't align with our own identity of ourselves. And so that's why knowing that we have the skills and strengths also means having enough self-awareness around those issues. The third element of feeling confident for me is that experiential knowledge. This is the rub, because no matter how much of the first element, intellectual knowledge we can have, and even if we have the greatest sense of understanding of our skills and our strengths, there is nothing like learning by doing, which helps to build confidence. Now, this is the bit where it can feel really scary. Of course, especially if it's something that we haven't done before. Okay? But this is the third element, which is going to be critical to helping, certainly for me, feel confident about being able to do something. And actually, it's unavoidable, really. But when we're feeling scared of doing something, how might we talk to ourselves in a way that actually can make it feel as though we can start to take those steps? Well, this is where I want to offer this reframing. What if, instead of saying, I lack confidence, we said, no, I don't lack confidence. I just lack experience. It's not that I'm unconfident. I just haven't had that experience yet. What effect might that have if we reframed it in that way? For me, it helps me to put away any personal shame that I might have around not feeling confident. I can't hold it against myself for not having had an experience yet. We can't possibly have all the experiences that life has to offer. We just haven't had this one yet. And the wonderful thing about this reframing is that it really leaves us with just one option. We're just going to have to get started. And as soon as we do, we start to notice that this experience starts to dial down that uncertainty that we might be feeling. Why? Because action creates clarity, and clarity reduces that uncertainty. It gives us information. When we were worried about something before, it's because we were projecting into the future and we didn't know how something would go. As soon as we start taking action on it, we start to get information about how it goes. And remember, if you like classroom learning and all that intellectual knowledge, then this is information. This is something that we crave. This is something that we really enjoy. We're just going to have to feel a little bit at the edge of our comfort zone in order to get it this time. So what really matters whilst we've started and we're starting to take the action is that we're really compassionate with ourselves and that we be curious about what's happening and what we're learning, what we're doing that might be working, what skills we might be drawing on, or what skills we just haven't developed yet because we haven't had the experience. My ask is that we really take care not to be critical about yourself if you're doing something new, okay? Just try to be compassionate and curious about it. So if confidence is the knowing that we can do something, then we need all three of those elements, really. And we might already have the first two. We might have that intellectual knowledge. We might have studied, project management, or we might have done a course on leading a team, or we might have bought the book on how to win friends and influence people. These are all things that I have done. We might have identified that we've got strengths already in organizational skills and in time management and all the kind of things that might lead into, for example, project management. But we also need to get that project and just get started with it. We need the experiential learning and the magic that really just comes in that learning by doing. And here's the really key thing and the wonderful thing is that when we start learning by doing and applying that knowledge that we're getting, that intellectual knowledge, it also speeds up that skills development. It makes it exponential. When you're learning by doing, then all of a sudden the growth can become really, really quite immense compared to just trying to learn everything and get really ready before we start taking action. So I hope that by reframing and thinking about not a lack of confidence, but simply a lack of experience, and perhaps reframing that to just, I haven't had this experience yet, might enable us all to feel a little bit more able to take action if there's something that we know that we really want to do or that we really need to do. And I just want to finish with this quote that I read the other day, which really struck me and is really quite relevant here, I think. And it's from Vincent van Gogh. And he said, "I'm always doing what I cannot do yet in order to learn how to do it." Take care.